Hey everybody, I want to follow up with my video from the other day talking about the grngate. Let's see, it's Monday evening. I got the box package on Thursday night. Opened it up, and that was the other video, and got to spend a few hours on Saturday and then a lot of Sunday getting everything lined up and taken care of. And I'm gonna cut it off here in a minute, and we'll go over to where everything's all hooked up, and I'll give you a lot better review. But anyway, so the unit came in. Again, it's well packaged. I had to take some time to get the wiring right. Luckily, I already had an extension cable made up from another shop ago where my table saw I needed a little bit farther distance, so I'd made one up. So I just took that cable, and it had a male and a female L620 connectors, and basically whacked them and peeled the insulation back, and that's what I used. So I had everything I needed. The only thing you have to do on the inside is I had to flip it over to 220 volts, and then I just basically had to wire it up. And I mean, it was white, black, green on the coming in on the load, or coming in on the line power, and then on the load side, and that was pretty much it. I mounted it to a piece of plywood and mounted it between two studs. My dust collector sits underneath my stairwell. Now, for a long time I've used manual plastic manual gates, and then I had a Woodcraft remote control with a little key fob that I kept on my tool belt. And you know, I go around and manually open the gate, have one of these on every line, and then hit the button to cut it on, hit the button to cut it off. The only challenge with these things, this one's, you can't really tell, but as these things get dust in them, they don't shut all the way. And you either got two choices. You take them apart, take a little tiny screwdriver and get in there, clean that crap out, or you come in here and you kind of do some engineering work on these things. They're a real pain in the butt. So over time, these things get to where they don't close all the way, and you kind of, you end up with little, not sealing perfect. So one of the features that I like of this Echo Gate is the fact that it's self-cleaning. And you'll see it. When I first saw the pictures of these things online, I thought these were the goofiest looking things I'd ever seen. Or should I say non-traditional. However, when you try one, you'll see why. This guy that, and I spent some time talking to the vice president, and I guess he's one of the main partners, and he's a really good guy. He's got a lot of experience. This guy comes, I think, from years of working in the industry. So he decided he was going to make this thing, and I like it. I love the concept. And the best part about it is it's off-the-shelf components. I looked at this one, and I also looked at at its competitor that's sold by Woodcraft, and the name of it, Provac, yeah, or IVAC Pro. And the IVAC Pro is a little more traditional. It's a square gate. The challenge I saw with that one was, I think, the challenge with the cleaning that I was with. And I might be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But that was just my first impressions. And then the wiring. And then also, when I talked to the people and I explained, well, it's 220 volts, 2 horsepower. That wasn't an issue for the IVAC people. I've got a planer that's 3-phase. It's 5 horsepower, and it runs off a rotary phase converter. And that's when it got a little more complicated. He said, well, we can do it. You got to get these parts. And he started running off all the parts, and I got, it got a little frustrating. And finally I said, this is getting way and the cost started getting up there, because like I said in my earlier one, I've got a joiner, I got a planer, I got a bandsaw, I got a table saw. I'm going to have one line, and those are going to be my automatic ones. The manual ones, I'm going to have one for my chop saw, and then one that is just going to be a floor sweep and a place that you can plug in a cable that goes over to my router table, which is freestanding. Those are going to be manual switches. So I needed 6 total. So by the time I added up all that, it got up there. And then grngate was just, they were off the charts. I couldn't afford them. So when I looked at this guy's prices online, it piqued my interest because his cost was rather reasonable. So to make a long story short, when you come down to the cost, I spent a little over $700. That gave me 6 gates, 4 of them automatic with sensors, and then 2 manual. I thought that was a really reasonable price because, to be honest with you, I spent some time trying to come up with a circuit that I could build one of these sensors on the power, because what I want to flip this machine on. I want it to open the gate, turn on the dust collector, and when I cut it off, run for a little bit and then cut everything off and close the gate. Well, this you got 2 settings. It'll run for 10 seconds or 5 minutes. And it's jumper. You can set that with the jumper. So I thought this is pretty cool. But he has another feature in there that I really liked. He's got his own video out there, and he takes a 2x4 and he sticks it down in there. And if this thing tries to clear and there's something stuck in there, it'll try 3 times. And if it can't clear itself in 3 times, it shuts itself off. And you got to go basically clear the obstruction, pull that cable out, plug it back in, and reset it. I like that, so you won't burn the solenoid up in it. Here's the big selling point. Now maybe it means more to me than it will a lot of. I'm a computer guy. That's woodworking is my love, but I put food on the table with computers. When I saw that he had done everything with standard Ethernet cables and standard RJ25 cables, which RJ25 is basically a 6-conductor phone cord. It's a flat ribbon cable. It looks like a mini network connector. And there's no AC to DC power conversion. The other units, you generally had to have at every station. You had to have 110 volts. You had a little adapter that converted AC power to DC power to power the solenoid. His didn't. And I saw that right away, and I said, he's running power over Ethernet. So he's letting those standard Ethernet cables provide power to the solenoids. And sure enough, that's what he's doing. The sensors run off standard telephone cables, RJ25s. Now they come with 25-foot network cables. And I think the sensor cable is, I forget how long. Here, I've got one here. What did I do with them? I can't remember what I did with them now. They're around here somewhere. I think they're 6 foot or 10 foot. I don't know. But, each one of these gates, I do have them. Each one of these gates has got a connector for a sensor if you want to go automatic, or an on-off switch. It's got an input for your network connector, and it's got a second network connector. Now you've got on the control unit, and I'll show that in a minute, you got 4 inputs. So you can plug 4 network cable runs in there. You can string these things together, and as you'll see, I'm running all of these. I'm going to run all 6 of these off of 1 port on the controller. So I've got another 3 ports, easy, not a problem at all. So you come into one, and you can take the other one and go to the next one, and so on and so on, and they still operate independent of one another. It's really a cool setup. And again, if you look at these, when you first look at it, it looks interesting, but up here, if there's debris gets in there, if that gate moves back and forth, it'll clear any debris out, and there's holes in here for anything to fall out, and there's even in the bottom. You do have some taps here, so like if you want to mount this to something, you can. I also was told that he's working on a bracket, but you'll see how I got mine. I don't need it. But anyway, so these things look funky, but I gotta tell you, I absolutely love it, and they work like a charm. So I got them in place, and really the most time it took me to get these things in wasn't related to this. It was how I was going to set it up to minimize my flow. Now, one challenge, if you've got a saw stop like me. A saw stop has a computerized system in it to test the blade and all that stuff, because it's got that technology where it'll stop it. If you do like all your other tools and just put that sensor on your power cable coming out of your jack, it won't work, because this thing's constantly pulling a little bit of power, and that's what those sensors read. So what you have to do, it's easy to solve, is on the inside of the cabinet where the motor, where the cable power feed comes out to the motor, that's where you put the sensor on. It solves the problem. So then you only sense power when that motor gets turned on. And these things are sweet, you'll see in a minute. So due to the short cable, and this is again where it come in nice, ended up with my gates underneath the deck, are real close together, so I went up to my box of junk, and I have a bunch of short network cables. Instead of using the big long 25 footers, I got some real short ones. So you'll see over there, all the network cables he gives you and telephone cables are green. Mine are different colors, so that's not how he sent them. I used shorter ones so I wouldn't have all that cable bundled up. But for my saw stop, it was either put the gate real close so that the sensor would reach, or I needed a longer cable. So what I did was I just went to Radio Shack on Sunday and got a 25-foot telephone cord. Boom, problem solved. So I was able to move the gate for that one closer to all the others. They're underneath the stairwell. They won't get tripped on. And I wrapped the sensor cable around the pipe. You'll see that in a minute. And that way, and it runs across my little stepping area over here. And if I do need to move the table saw, which more than likely I won't, but if I do, I've got a quick connect. So all I have to do is unplug the sensor cable, pop the connector off, and lay it up on the table, and I can move and do whatever I want. So anyway, that's it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause it, I'm going to move the camera, and then I'm just going to be talking and zooming in on the different units and stuff and see where it's at, and then I'm going to fire it up and show you how it again, I'm going to reiterate this, I have no financial stake in this company whatsoever, but I love the product, and I think if you get it, you're going to like it too. So anyway, I'm going to pause it right now, move everything, and then I'll be right back.